This is ICCII incremental training of the chip finish. Then we get started here. We have a fourth agenda for this part. First one is intent boundary cell flow, and the second one is threshold virtual area based feeder cell insertion, and the next one is node 2x feeder cell insertion, and the next one is rule-based feeder cell replacement. For enhance of the boundary cell insertion flow, in earlier stage, in previous release, we did not set the boundary cell rule, and now we have cell boundaries rule active, so you don't need to specify them in each section. You can specify the boundary cell rule incremental because we have a set boundary cell rule now. Also, you can remove any cell rule by using remove boundary cell rules. For UI of the remove boundary cell rule, as you can see, all the option is same as the set boundary cell rules. This is our enhanced boundary cell insertion flow. When you specify a boundary cell rule by using set boundary cell rules, you can deploy it, and if not complete, and then you can use another set boundary cell incremental or use remove boundary cell rules. After set boundary rules are all defined, you can use compile boundary cells, and tool will create boundary cell, and then you can use another check function named check boundary cell to see if anything wrong here. Second part is threshold virtual based feeder insertion. Any gap between type of the cell, we use threshold vertical based feeder. This methodology is usually established by boundary nodes. This is one example when you need first define what kind of the cell, and between these two cells, you specify which kind of the feeder you want to fill the gap. Later we will have a more detailed introduction of the UI usage. Here is the overview. And you need to specify the cell VT type, and this is between left VT and right VT. You will specify which kind of the feeder cell will fill to the gap, and then you use the create VT cell feeders to fill the gap. This is the example. For example, you specify inverter, its VT is default, and you define between default and default, you can have a feeder 2x and feeder 1x, and you specify another VTA, and between VTA and VTA, you specify to fill the gap by feeder A 2x and feeder A 1x. This is example. And later on, you can use create VT cell feeders. We have 4 options. You can specify only on which vertex area, and you can also specify the boundary of the BB bus to create your VT feeders. Here is one result between left standard cell and the right standard cell. You can see we insert 3 high threshold voltage DK4 in the gap between two of the high voltage cell. Okay, and here is this part summary. We consider the threshold voltage type of the neighboring cells of a gap. This is user input, and we will select feeder cell for the predefined list to fill the gap. Typical list is depend on which boundary node. And we have no 2x feeder insertion. By default, create standard feeders. Assume the small cell size is 1 unit site. In previous release, we have a dash loop for no 1x, and then we enhance tool to have a small size cell. For example, 2x, and we have a capability up to 3x for smallest cell size, option for the create standard cell feeders. And the usage of this you need take care if you specify for example you specify 3 for your smallest cell size, and your library cell you need provide to fill all the gap bigger than 3x. For example, if you have a 7 side gap, you can use 3 and 4 to fill the 7x gap. So you need to specify any combination node to fill the gap. And this is rule-based feeder insertion replacement. We in TSMC rule we have CPOD L2 and OD.5 these rules, and from chip finish part we can use replace feeder by rules to replace feeder to help to fix loss OD violation. And this one example of this replace feeder by rules. This is user interface. Replace feeder by rules. We have a replacement rule for 4 parts of the definition. One is maximum vertical constraint, and the second one is illegal abutment, and then we have OD taper distance and OD horizontal distance. this is the first most important part of the which rule you want to add tool to replace feeder, uh, and the others is to follow up by your replacement rule. Later on we will have a detailed introduction for this part. This I introduced earlier. We have 4 parts of the replacement rule. And okay, the first one is when you have a maximum vertical constraint, you will need to specify which feeders in this maximum vertical constraint length. It is in this distance. You in this distance, when you have constraint feeders and you have non-constraint feeders, and you will have existing cells. And we take the example to here. For example, when you define your maximum constraint length, it's 180, and if feeder insertion insert the decap over than this length, and it will replace one feeder, one decap to feeder to break the length to make sure your continued decap is less than your specified maximum constraint length. And when you meet existing cell, it will recalculate. So to make sure we will not have the vertical cell by construct. You define this cell, this feeder. In this part, you define the decap. So the decap will not continue larger than your maximum constraint length. And this is forbidden feeder cell abutment rule. For forbidden feeder cell abutment rule is specified when the cell list you provide, it cannot contain cell to abut together. That we check at the example for more detail. For example, illegal abutment is feeder X and feeder Y. Y here is just example. This example is feeder X and feeder 1A. It's illegal abutment, and it will replace abutment in this part. So for this example, you specify your feeder 1A will change to C feeder 1A. And this is another example. He did not abut with other feeder, so this no violation here. And this is another one. Your requested abutment list, it will change feeder 1B to C feeder 1B. So this is after request result. And look for a tap cell in the tap cell list and measure the span of the OD layer from the tap cell to the neighboring cell on the left and right edge. This is forbidden tap cell spacing rule. This is all similar to the vertical. No, this is OD to measure. We have no OD violation here, and that we take example of for detail. This replacement rule is OD tap distance, and when you have a tap cell and you define a tap distance range is 3 to 3. That means 3 sides distance is a violation, and you will if you this tap cell is when you have this pattern create violation, and you will replace by which part of the tap cell. For example, if your left tap cell, you will replace to TPL. For this example, this tap cell have a violation, and because he is in the left, so he will replace to TPL. And this example is right. He will replace to TP tap right. And if this tap cell is between both sides, you will replace to tap B in this example. And we have a adjuster non-OD cell. This means when your tap cell contain neighborhood is feeder, then you will trigger this rule. And between the max and the min and max, if the legal max OD spacing is less or equal 5 units, you will need use 2.01, and the value 1000 is an ability that will not affect the spacing check. If the legal max OD spacing is less 5 units, use 5 and 1000. This part, if you have adjust non-OD cell. The operation will only be performed if a cell in the specified list is immediately next to the tap cell. As I commented earlier, the tap cell neighborhood is filled, then you will trigger this checking for this request filled by rules. And we have another the first four part of the rule is maximal horizontal length rules. We have two ways to specify this rule. One is table based and one is list based. Specify a feeder table to list based. This is an example for the table-based syntax. Replace feeder by rules. The rule you specify is all the horizontal distance, and you need to have a maximum constraint length for one distance, and you will have a exception cell. This is similar to the vertical, and when you specify your feeder, you can specify as a table. For this part, you will have a VT feeder, reference feeder, and you will replace VT1 validation, cell 1, cell 2, and so on. These are the details of the horizontal distance between. If you meet the exception cell, it will recalculate, and later on, if you have the cell continue larger than the maximal constraint length with the feeder table. For example, this example is a decap cell, and it continue larger than your specified length, and then tool will want to break this violation by using your lesson feeder table. For this example, we see the length larger than 70, and we find in this distance we have one decap cell, and this decap cell is in your feeder table, and we will use this take this decap to replace two or more first you are going to replace feeders, and this example is you replace two VT2 feeder 1. This is after, so the continue length will not larger than this you specify value to find all the horizontal distance variation. And this is list based. It's similar, but it's only specified by your not as earlier table. It only have depend on your constraint feeder and non-constraint feeder. Constraint feeder will replace two non-constraint feeder, and the exception cell is recalculate the length of the your specified maximum constraint length. And we have a limitation here, so you need to take care. For example, if your outgoing cell size is 64 and your incoming cell size is 1, it's okay. But if outgoing cell size is 64 but your incoming cell size is 3, it's not acceptable because 64 is not divisible by 3. So this I must to take care of this part. Thank you.